Brokerages have analysts that go out and make calls and go out on CNBC and come on and talk about the calls that they've made and the things that they see happening. They want to create demand. I mean, the reality is they shouldn't. If it was truly about ownership in the company, no analyst should go out there and say anything because you want the stock to stay as low as possible so you can own more, right? It's just.
I mean, whether you're a Reddit trader or an institutional trader, you crave research, Mark, and that's what the banks sell. That's what analysts sell. There's value in that.
No, I'm not saying there's not value in it, but I'm saying if I'm a client of your research firm and I pay you for that, great. But when you go on CNBC and talk up your book, you're saying, okay, I'm creating more demand to create an exit or just to inflate the price. When in reality, if you truly were an owner and you had additional capital, you'd want that price to be as low as possible because you want to own as much of the company as possible. That's what Warren Buffett. That's the Graham and Dodd approach. Keep that price down because it's undervalued, so I can buy more. But that's not what happens. We go out and we get long and we get loud because everybody wants that price to go up because that gives them an outlet to sell it. And I just don't see any difference between that and what Wallstreetbets is doing. Now, I understand your point that an analyst, may have more training, more background, more, hopefully not more information, but at least be able to share that. And maybe somebody on a message board does not, and maybe they're just lying or pretending or whatever. I get the difference there, but at the same time, the goal is the same, to get long and get loud.
So, Mark, is there a world in which, GameStop can sustain a $20 billion plus valuation? And what is it then? Is it simply a store of value completely removed from fundamentals? Do you think that we're going to see that with some of these other names? And
it really comes down to, look, if somebody like Ryan Cohen, I don't know him at all, has had success with Chewy.com, and he put up a lot of his own money and bought 12, 13% of the company. Now, he's truly an owner. And owning that much stock, he put himself on the board and he put other individuals on the board. And he invested in a company that has about, 35% of its sales that are on e-commerce. And so they're doing all they can to get away from being a store-driven.
But, Mark, you're talking fundamentals here.
No, I am, right?
You're talking fundamentals,
I'm telling you the
then
difference. No, because you asked me about the future of the company itself, right? And so I told you there was a reason why somebody bought the stock, right, and invested, I don't know how much money that Ryan invested to actually take ownership in the company and to actually influence the operations of the company. That's one type of buyer and owner. That's great. If you can buy enough for the individual trader, it's just about the narrative, right? What's the narrative? Is Ryan going to do a great job?
How do you justify that? I guess my original question is, how do you justify a $20 billion plus valuation? You're talking fundamentals, but when you're talking to the Wallstreetbets group, you're saying that it can keep going up and up again. What is that based on?
It's based off of supply and demand, like anything else. If you bring
so then my question is, what is GameStop? What is GameStop? Is it just a store of value at that point?
Yes, like any non-dividend paying stock, right? Look, the idea of having $1 trillion market cap in a company would have been laughable 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The idea that a company's market cap would go, $1 trillion company's market cap would increase 50, 60%, or $600 billion, and more than almost any other S&P stock in months would seem incredible. We all would say the fundamentals could never support that, right? It's supply and demand. How many buyers and how much money is chasing? And now, with low interest rates, there's so much money chasing. And, dude, this is nothing new, right? It's just nothing new at all. And there was a time when if a company went from $100 million market cap to $700 million market cap because of all the supply and demand, and who knew where the demand came from, it was just, wow, that's crazy, but it is what it is. Now we're only questioning it because it came from a message board.